Hello, this is Brandon Johnson with The Link, and today is March 28th, Saturday, the first day of the governor's shelter in place. And we're doing something a little different. It's just me today. Didn't have, with the tone of what's going on in the world, just kind of didn't want to talk anything outside other than current events. And so I thought I would just kind of talk a little bit about what the mindset of small business is in this day and age, or what should be, not to come off as an authoritarian by any stretch of the imagination, but just kind of give you what our mindset is, our philosophies. If the goal is to help 3 or 4 people that are operating a small business, to give them some guidance, that is my goal here now. And that being said, with everything healthcare related with COVID-19, I by no means have any knowledge on the well-being, the livelihood from a healthcare perspective. What I'm trying to do is just offer some value in really the only way I know how, and that's along the lines of small business. So I'm not trying to be insensitive by any means. I understand the bigger picture. But I do think with talking with a number of people, specifically in the small business arena, that the fear and anxiety that's setting in from a livelihood perspective, income, revenue, at this point in time anyways, which I think is relatively speaking a positive, exceeds the anxiety, fear of possibly the COVID-19. So I just want to stay in my lane, speak a little bit of what I know, and if I can help just a handful of people listening, motivation, that sort of thing, that's my goal this morning. So the first thing I want to talk about, and we met with our group, and Heidi and I talk about this daily, is where we're in now is really, it's as much of a mental game as anything. And I reference back, I've been in the real estate industry since 2004. And we've lived through economic recessions, obviously the housing recession, 2009 through 2012-ish. And what I saw from fellow agents is when things are on the downturn, loss of revenue, it really starts feeding into the mindset, and you either become paralyzed or you do what you know, and what you know doesn't work as well anymore. And so that's the first thing, is if you are trying to sell from a business, is recognize that as much as anything, you need to feed your mind with positivity. I'm not saying bury your head in the sand regarding what's in the news. You need to be conscious of what's going on because things are changing daily, even hourly, but you need to feed your mind with positivity. This too will pass, whether that's a month, 2 months, 4 months, nobody knows, but this will pass. And what you're doing to feed your mind is as important as anything. The one thing I kind of mentioned to some agents here is what I believe is successful people will always be looking for things to accomplish. They may take what I told some of our agents is they may take real estate from you in the current context of how you operate. If you're a retail business, things may be put on hold. Always look for what you can do to accomplish things, whether it's things around the house, whether it's working out. Successful people will always be accomplishing something. It may not be related to your business, but look for things that may be family related, growing, personal growth, looking for ways to essentially stay busy. Do not just be a couch potato watching the news and getting that downward spiral, because that's what will affect you probably from a mental health standpoint, but most certainly in a business context as well. Switching gears a little bit, I go back to when I was a freshman in college, circa 1994. And those of you maybe under 30 won't recognize this, but I had a sociology class, and it's one of those classes when you're an incoming college freshman that you don't take under great excitement. It's one of those generals that you have to check off your list, right? So I'm a freshman in college taking a sociology class from a man by the name of Mr. Morris. And if you picture Doc from Back to the Future, that's what this guy resembled. The crazy white hair. This guy was a nut. High energy, off the wall. And what we would do for our assignments periodically is he would take us to the campus quad where all the students hung out, and we'd gather ourselves spread out, and our assignments were to just observe, sit around and observe students. And Professor Morris would walk around with a boombox on his shoulder, playing the sound from the Four Non-Blondes, What's Going On. And if you're can remember to the early 90s, that tune will always be stuck in your head, and I'm not even going to attempt to sing it for lack of musical ability, but he would walk around playing that song, What's Going On by the Four Non-Blondes, to try and spur our mindset to be in an observant mindset. And so, not having any interest initially in sociology, I can tell you that was probably one of the more impactful classes that I took for no other reason other than in times of change, I always hear that song, see his face, and I think to myself, what's going on? And I think that is kind of what's led me in the last 2 weeks. I have been speaking to as many people in as many different industries just to try and learn to what different people are seeing. And I can tell you, I've noticed there's 2 themes happening right now in the business context. And I think these themes we're in the process of playing out already. And I think they're probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, given the COVID-19 epidemic and how businesses have adapted. I think these themes are on fast pace. They're being implemented now, and they're playing out much faster than they would have before. And the 2 themes essentially are the commercial real estate, retail, brick and mortar space is on the downward spiral, and it is fast track now. The mall here in St. Cloud is shut down, and I'd venture to say that there's going to be spaces in the mall that don't open back up. Anyone that is relying on people walking through their front doors because of where we're at now, unfortunately, and I have great empathy to everyone, and I've spoken to a number of people, are essentially shut down, and it's scary. And there's no way you could have anticipated this happening to plan for these events. But I do think, looking into the future, that commercial tax bases have got to reset. Commercial rents are going to reset. The value for commercial retail real estate is less than it was 6 months ago because of where we're at. And again, I think that was a theme that was already playing out over the next decade, but businesses, when this all settles down, are going to start looking at business models and how to operate, and I do see that changing. The other one along the same lines is the internet is the backbone to our society, and that is where the immediate changes are going to be. You're already seeing it in the corporate worlds where everyone's doing FaceTime, Zoom meetings, working from home. Obviously, everyone is getting set up now. To the school systems. The school systems have been scrambling and, quite frankly, doing an amazing job setting up school programs for our kids to be able to do distance learning, and all of that is done remotely. And it's all done via the internet. So commerce, business, working is only going to get more and more dependent on the internet. And so what does that mean? There's a quote that I want to read that I think is very relevant, and it goes like this. It is not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change. Charles Darwin. And I think from a small business owner, again, there's no way to anticipate what we're living through now. But seeking out and managing change is what will make or allow you to not only survive, but to flourish and prosper. And I think that mindset of seeking out change is your competitive advantage. What changes can you take advantage of in this new era of commerce will help you flourish? That has to be the mindset of any small business owner. I think there's two things going on. The first, let me take a step back. When I reference real estate agents back in the 2011 era, we were on a macro taught the immediate sale. All our actions had to map to instant revenue. And that's the definition of sales, right? Is what can I do to get someone to make a decision that benefits me in a monetary policy? That's the old traditional sales model. And to companies, whether you're in car sales or electronic sales, everything is measured in a month or a quarter or an annual basis. And I guess what I'm saying and what we've done is you have to have the sales element, right? It's a necessity. You have to have the revenue. That's why you're in business. But you have to be cognizant that a portion of your actions need to map to activities, to efforts that aren't necessarily ROI beneficial now, that you can't quantify. And where I'm leaning with that is when Heidi and I decided to start our own company, we really said that other people are going to outsell us immediately. That's just the way it is. We had a timeline of 7 to 8 years. We wouldn't be able to evaluate if we were successful or not for a good 7 to 8 years because our actions did not map to the short-term benefit of ROI like the traditional sales. And so if you're in business now, I think the first thing you need to be cognizant of as a small business is you need to embed yourself in the community. That is first and foremost. Whether you're a landscape company, whether you're an accountant, whether you sell insurance, being a part of the community fabric is more vital than ever. And it's really been evident to me because what you're seeing now is the restaurants, who I am greatly sympathetic for what's being dictated to them. But what you're seeing is the great support, the rallying cry of everyone ordering takeout. And you're seeing cars lining up ordering takeout from local businesses. But I will tell you this, that is not an effect of anything that businesses have done, or very little that they have done in the last week to 2 weeks. What you're seeing, the reason why people are lining up is for the work that those restaurants have put in the last 3, 4, 5 years that they've been in the community. Giving back to the community, they're feeling the rewards of being involved in the community when they are in need. And it's nothing to do with what they've done executing in the last week to 2 weeks. And I can tell you there's a restaurant on Division Street that has huge green signs up for takeout. And I know they've gone through 2 or 3 managers in the last 2 or 3 years. I spoke with someone that says they can't get their employees to show up now. So that's the other extreme, is the businesses that have a loyal following, a loyal workforce, are the ones that are able to survive when their business is being taken from them. So one of the first things is just be involved in the community, giving back. The other thing is minimizing your brick and mortar dependency. And that's hard. And I know what people are thinking is, I'm a chiropractor, I need everyone to walk through the door. I'm a nail salon, I need everyone to walk through the door. So I get it. You can't eliminate your need for the retail space. But I just want to pose this out there, is if you view everyone, if you were a supplier, if you made supplies to one company and 90% of your business was to one entity, you would be as an astute business person, you would be very quick to realize that is a vulnerability. I think you need to look at everyone that walks through the front door as that one customer, and if that front door is cut off, you're vulnerable. So what I'm alluding to is you need to have a presence through the internet. You need to have a sales force, some sort of, whether it's a Shopify account, whether it's an Instagram store, you need to have a presence in 2020 online. And again, that's a theme that was playing out over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, regardless. Now it's happened overnight. And so to get back to my example of, if you're a nail salon or you're someone that needs someone walking in, you still need to have content providing value online. You need to have an online presence providing value, whether that's blogging, which in this day and age isn't writing on your website, it's writing articles on LinkedIn is the new present way of blogging. Whether that's documenting your day-to-day business through Instagram. I'll say something that's silly to most people, but TikTok is a viable source that's only going to get bigger in the next 3 to 5 years. You need to have a presence in the 5 to 6 channels that people are engaged on the internet. It's a necessity. Otherwise, you're going to get cut off from the world. And again, I'm not trying to preach by any means. I'm just trying to demonstrate that those who can best manage change are going to be the ones who survive. The other thing I think to realize, and different people are feeling different effects of this, and it's going to be interesting. I think we're here the end of March, and I was talking to Devin here now, that I think here in central Minnesota, unfortunately, if you listen to the governor, the health aspect of this, it's going to get worse before it's going to get better from what they're saying. And I think as things get closer to home, it's more important ever than to put your priorities where they need to be on your family as well. So please take that into consideration, but please use this time to stay busy. If it's at home, learn how to be a LinkedIn expert. Learn how to communicate with those on Instagram. Learn how to use Snapchat in a way that's meaningful to your clients that are on that. Connect with your clients. If things get worse and we all are at home, stay busy. Reach out to your current customers, making connections, knowing that you're there for them in a human capacity, not just in your arena as well. So I want to leave you with this. This will pass. It may not seem like it now. It may get worse before it gets better. The economical impact may get tremendously worse. It may not. I am hopeful that our spirit here is going to get us through this, but this will pass. There are so many opportunities. View this time of change as an opportunity. Whenever the status quo gets disrupted, it is a tremendous opportunity. It may be painful. There's things of our businesses, some businesses, the nature of it, if you have large retail, it's painful. And I don't know or have any of the grand scheme answers other than engage with your clients as best as possible. The loyal consumer base is what is your fighting chance to survive. So the stronger the loyalties of your community, your workforce, and your client base, the best chance you will have to make it through these times. But look for the opportunities. There are always opportunities out there. There are so many. Look at the company Zoom. They were set up and they are a household name right now, with everyone having to take advantage of distant communication. Look for the opportunities. So with that being said, I will leave you on this Saturday morning, March 28th. I hope all of you are well. I hope all of you stay safe. And if there's anything I can do for you, please reach out to me. I will do what I can to make it happen. Thanks, and be safe.